And we're live with another Monday Facebook Live for the Marketing for Insurance Agents groups. I'm so excited for this, if you can't tell. And we have an absolutely amazing guest, friend, client, agent joining us today as well that will be hopping in. So if you're excited about growing your business for 2025 and want to dive in and do it more profitably, then you are in the right spot. And that's what we'll be joining and talking about today. So Elle's got a little wizardry going off in the background with the emails, the messages for everybody come join. If you're catching the replay, just fast forward a few minutes and we'll be diving into everything. Otherwise, as you're joining, let us know in the comments where you're joining from, what lines of insurance you focus on there. Now, it seems like the nation is a mix of like snowstorms happening in places that they don't tend to happen, as well as the forest fires or the wildfires in California, which have seemed to be absolutely crazy what's going on there. So our thoughts with everybody over there. If anybody can help support in any way, let us know. I know probably a good portion of the community here is affected, so let us know in the comments if you've been affected by that. But up in Atlanta on the other side, I think they had their first snow day in 5 years, and so very much had some family members seeing snow for the very first time in their lives, which was very interesting. And Florida has just gotten a little bit cooler. But Dylan, you came down from New York to Florida. How's this winter compared to your New York winters?
Oh, it's much better down here.
Yeah, a little bit warmer.
That is correct. Yep, much warmer.
And I hear in certain states they have these things you scrape on your car and get like ice off or something like that. I've never seen it happen, but I've heard like the theory that that's a thing. Is that a thing?
That is a thing. Yep.
So no, we don't get too much of that down here, but and if it gets below 70, I'm putting a coat on. So it's definitely not pool weather down here. So guys, I'm getting this pinned to the top of the group, so it's nice and easy for you guys to find. If you want to go ahead and start commenting and let us know you're here, as well as if you got anybody else you want to tag for them to come check this out as well. We got a really amazing one for you guys that I can't wait to jump into. So let me get this all pinned so we can get the comments rocking and rolling for today. And I'm gonna just get this pinned to the top here. Okay, it is pinned, and I think we're ready to rock and roll. So cool. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. I know we got more hopping on in just a moment, but I want to go ahead and dive in, as this is what you guys are ready to hop in and discuss for 2025 here. And so if you missed last week's, we had a really amazing Facebook Live talking about the 2025 playbook, what you need to know for this year, what's training, what you're diving into. We try to do that at the very beginning of the year. It's kind of a state of the union for the insurance industry, especially when it comes to growing and client acquisition in there. So definitely check that out. If you missed it, just write replay in the comments. We'll make sure to get that over to you. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and hop into today. Now, with that said, we got people joining the group all the time, right? And so with that, we got some people who've never been on, some people who've been on with us before. So I want to start off with a little bit of introduction, and then I'm going to have Dylan, our guest, introduce himself here as well in just a second as well. So with that, guys, welcome to the Facebook Live today. You guys are watching this in the Marketing for Insurance Agents group. We love having you guys part of this community. Love having you join us. Let us know in the comments, once again, that you can see us, hear us, what lines of insurance you focus on, what state you're from, and that way we know we're not just talking to ourselves, right? So plus we're going to get a lot of engagement, a lot of interactivity today as well, as I know you guys will probably have a bunch of questions for the stuff that we talk about today. So with that said, as you guys are letting us know where you're joining from, what lines of insurance you focus on, I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of introductions here. So I'm David, one of the founders of Jumpstart Go, which runs this Facebook group that you guys are joining us from. And we created this group as a resource for you guys to connect, to learn, find referral partners, what's going on in the industry, what the latest and greatest is, techniques, how to grow more profitably, and just really making this a great resource for you guys. We try to do trainings every week, 4 p.m. Eastern. Go ahead and put them on your calendar. Come join us. We do record them, but it's even more fun if you're here live with us jumping in. And our specialty is we help insurance agents double, if not triple, their production fire their lead vendors, and ditch the smiling and dialing, or as I call it, frowning and drowning, forever through organic marketing strategies. We founded Jumpstart Go in 2018, where we took the marketing consulting backgrounds, focused just on the insurance industry. We created this group then, and it's grown to about 34,500 insurance agents all across the country, all lines of insurance, captives, independents. We absolutely love the community that's grown here. And we've been able to consult for around 800 different insurance agents and agencies through the years, through our programs, events, with what we focus on there. And we've been able to generate over $1 million a year using just social media. And that's what we love, teaching our clients how to grow and scale through organic strategies where they're not paying for leads, not paying for ads, and how to really grow through relationships and transactional. We're licensed ourselves, have a life agency, also sell ourselves. And so we also come from the insurance side as well. And we absolutely love this industry, this community. And we thank you guys for being a part of it and for being here. Now, with that said, if this is your very first time hopping on with us, you haven't been on with us before, you're new to the group, you haven't checked out a Facebook Live or webinar, or maybe you just don't remember the last time you hopped on, write one or first in the comments below and let us know your very first time hopping on. We'd love to welcome you. We'd love to get you some free trainings and resources. We'd love to show you how to get the most out of this group for growing your business. So just write one or first in the comments, and we'd love to have Grace or Charm, someone from our team, reach out, say hi, get you some trainings and resources there. Now, if you've been on these for a while, you've hopped on, you're like, I know David, I'm on these things a decent bit, or you've even hopped on one in the past, write MFIA for marketing for insurance agents, not mafia, in the comments, and let us know you're back, ready to dive in for more, as we always love having you guys here, ready to talk, ready to discuss, ready to grow our businesses. So with that, while everybody's joining, hopping in, Dylan, I would love if you introduce yourself a little bit for everyone before we kick off today.
Sure. Yeah. So just so everybody knows, my name is Dylan Baker. I'm a life licensed agent out of Melbourne, Florida. I specialize in mortgage protection insurance. And I just, like as David said earlier, moved down from New York State to Florida here. I've been here about a year. And like he said, I love the winters down here much better than I did up in New York State.
Awesome. And tell us a little bit on a little bit on the life side. What are some of the areas you focus on the most? Who do you kind of help the most, and how long have you been doing it?
Yep. So I focus, like I said, I do the mortgage protection insurance. I guess you could say, client that I like to help out is first-time home buyers. I've been doing that, probably the mortgage protection insurance I've been doing for about a year and a half. I've been licensed for going on 3 years now. So I just found that niche really is something that I like to help, people that are, getting into buying their first property, and, discussing some of the ways that they can protect that, just in case, with mortgages being higher than they have been in recent years, that payment can be very hard to swallow if the unfortunate happens to a dual income family.
Love it. So I'm excited to dive in some more. I'm going to take these things off before they give me too much of a headache, right? Not distracting at all, probably. So with that, we can dive in a little bit more. So I'm going to tee up today's training. Continue to let us know in the comments whether it's your first time or you're back ready for more. So write first or one in the comments. Love to welcome you. Keith Flood, glad to have you here. First time on here and already working with us. Super excited to be working with you, Keith. We got Jason Poole back for more MFIA. We got the regulars on as well. So cool. Let's go ahead and dive in to today. So we're going to talk about today is what's possible when you shift from to referral-based marketing and focus on that, right? And I think that's different than a lot of the industry teaches and preaches, right? Like a lot of it is, hey, let me buy a bajillion leads, let me call them all day. Maybe if I'm lucky, someone will answer. Maybe they'll actually even talk to me a little bit, and then I'll sell something. I'll do the same thing the next day, right? And a lot of the industry really focuses on that. So referrals-based marketing, we hear it, we think it sounds nice or important, and in our minds that usually like, oh, that means like a BNI or going out and just, to a bunch of networking events where we pass business cards and they go in a shoebox, right? And that's not what I'm talking about. Now, that's not really strategic referral marketing, which is what we really want to dive in today. We want to focus, how is it possible to 3, 5, 10x your business from relationships and referrals without paying for them, and to grow more profitably on that side and completely shift the business due to that, right? So that's what we're really talking about. So if you're looking to grow your business more, write me in the comments, because that is what we're going to be diving in, and you're in the right place. If you're not looking to grow your business, then yeah, you're welcome to hang out with us as well. But I promise you're going to get a lot out of this. So Dylan joined us at the end of October with little no pipeline. We'll jump into the specifics around that in just a second. And fast forward, and he's now consistently generating 8 to 10 appointments a day with 544 referrals in his first month. Not 5, not 10, not 100, not a few hundred. 544 referrals in his first month. So super proud of him, ringing the bell. And we'll talk a little bit about how he did that. We're going to dive into that today. So if that's what you, hey, if you're not getting 544 referrals a month, you're like, yeah, I'd like to learn more about that, then once again, you're in the right place. So guys, we want to get you guys the most out of this as possible. And the best way for us to make sure that we do that is for you guys to ask questions, right? Ask us what you want to know. Ask us the specifics. I'm sure as we talk with Dylan, you guys are going to have specific questions for him or just us in general. Drop those in the chat below. I promise we collect them all. We get them all answered. So the only way not to have your question answered is by not dropping it in the chat. So guys, interact with us, dive in, let us know your thoughts, comments, and we'll get the most out of today for you guys. So who here wants to build a referral-based pipeline like Dylan? Drop a let's go in the comments if you're ready, if you want to learn how to do that and dive into today. When we get some let's goes, we'll dive in. If not, we'll go have some dinner because I'm sure we're both hungry, right? So, but I have a feeling, like always, we're going to get some let's goes and be able to dive into everything with you guys. So with that, let's go ahead and get rocking, rolling here. So Dylan, I think the appropriate place when we're trying to figure out where to start is probably the beginning, right? Now, we don't need to go back when you were born, right? We can go to the beginning maybe of us connecting and getting started on that side. So Dylan, can you share a little bit more specifically of what was going on before you started to work with us? What had you reaching out to us? What were some of those challenges? What kind of thoughts were going through your head? I would love to know what Dylan's world looked like a little bit.
Yeah, we can talk about that. So Dylan's world looked very much like, I just moved down here with both my kids to Florida, had a day job trying to make some money, but I also had my insurance license too, which is really where my passion is, right? But it can't be much of a passion when you're closing 2 deals, a week, right? Or every other week for that matter. So I've been following, I've been part MFIA for 2 years now. I just, kept looking into it, and then finally jumped on a call and got kind of take another look at the program that you guys offer. And it was getting to the point where I really need to do something to grow my business. So I took the jump in, right? So we did. And from there, I got put into, strategic referral partners, quick start, where, we were putting some processes into place very quickly. And, I had all of these folks in my network that I'd known for years in, the real estate world with, regards to my mortgage protection insurance business, but I didn't really know how to leverage those folks as well as I do now. And, kind of fast forward to what I was doing today, we were, going through and doing that fast start, and it was getting to the point where I started talking to one of my realtor friends. She started introducing me to a bunch of, her colleagues. We were going to open houses. I was setting up shop at their open houses to kind of talk to people who are maybe looking into buying a house, some things to protect that house after, they bought it. I'm offering, first-time home buyers a free, financial, education to kind of go over, you just bought a house and have it on a 30-year mortgage. These are some things you should really start to plan for. And before you know it, These realtors are referring their customers to me because they want that free, education portion. And, we start that off with not even talking about what I can offer them, but just kind of showing them what they should have in place now that they have a new house. And before you know it, we're talking about mortgage protection, and then, they're purchasing from me, right? Well, that starts with 3 realtors, and then all of a sudden we have 5 realtors in the group that are sending me people. And then it gets to the point where, like, well, I've had all these people buy from me in the last 2 years, so let's call through those lists. And the next thing you know, within 30 days, I've got a list of names that is about 544 from about 5 different realtors, a couple of, mortgage loan originators, and some attorneys in our little group. And it just kind of spiraled out of control into this big old, snowball, as you will. And, it got to the point where I'm having weeks where, there's 8 to 10 appointments scheduled every single day. And that's a lot. So now that doesn't work at his day job anymore. My kids go to school, and I park in front of my computer, and I'm, helping first-time home buyers and people that have just purchased a home, and some folks that may have purchased their home within the last couple of years, secure their home in the case of something bad happening.
Love it. And so, guys listening, if you relate to any of that Dylan's already mentioned, which I know he covered like the whole journey right there, that would be diving more specifically in for you guys there, then write me in the chat if you relate, and write what you relate to, whether it's kind of where he was at, trying to get into things, trying to figure stuff out. As a part of that, would love to know kind of like, hey, I'm in that situation. I was in that situation similarly as well. So let's go back to the beginning. Once again, we'll talk about that a little bit. So you mentioned you've been in the group for 2 years. Like, when you initially hopped in this Facebook group, was this, hey, I was just looking for some resources, some stuff that might be good groups and communities to join around the industry? And what kind of had you stay in a part of the group for 2 years?
So initially, when I was with the when I was captive, because I started off with New York Life, there was a lot of it being built around, touching base with your warm market, right? Well, my warm market's only so big. So I knew that I needed to do something different. And then, once, you get captive, you have to kind of, as people sometimes know, there's certain restrictions on what you can and can't do as far as it comes to social media. And I knew that social media is where people are going nowadays. So when I went independent, I started looking for different strategies to, boost my presence online, or, just find something, different than what I've been taught. And, buying leads is great for some people. It wasn't working for me because they were aged. They didn't know who I was. I didn't know who they were. And it just wasn't working out. And, everybody likes to refer to it as smiling and dialing. And I couldn't disagree more. So, if I'm being honest. So that's really what it was, is I needed something different.
Okay. So yeah, so looking, for something different, look at, make a change, right? Like, and you mentioned you're part of the group for a while there. And what was it that finally had you at that point of like, I need to make a change and to do something different? Like you said, you were spending on leads, you weren't, highly profitable off those. Sounds like, what were the parts you disliked the most? Like, not being able to get in touch with people, or the fact they just had no idea who you were and no trust there, or like just the fact that you had to constantly spend on them, or constantly get them to reach out to? Tell me a little bit on that.
Basically all of the above, right? It was a matter of, I would be calling folks that I don't know. I had to kind of warm them up from ice cold. Some of them didn't even remember putting information into the form that I was getting the lead from. Then there were some times where, it was just ringing. And I'd sit there, I'd do, calling for, do a call block, and it just seems like I would never get in touch with anybody. And then at the end of the week, I didn't have anything to show for it. So that was a little discouraging. And yeah, I just knew that that's not how I wanted to build my business.
I love it. And so, for something to change, something has to change, right? Like, and I think that's, end of the day, is taking action, and props to you for taking that initial action to reach out and have this conversation, or to, just in general, when people realize that it needs to be a change, is the action's the next part, but a lot of them don't get to that point of taking that action, right? So, yeah, we'll talk about that and kind of the journey from there. But yeah, let me know in the comments, like, right leads if you've been in that similar situation yourself at a point where I've been dialing, not getting able to get a hold of people, spending money. There's not any type of trust or rapport there. And I feel like I'm in a hamster wheel a little bit. In fact, if you want to write the word hamster wheel, I feel like that's more accurate, right? So you could write hamster wheel. So as they're writing that, and if you guys got any questions, I already see some good ones stuff, keep writing those questions. But with that, what advice do you have for captive agents that feel limited by what they can do on social media? Because it's a question we get all the time. And I do want to let them know off the bat that, yes, you can compliantly use social media, even if you are like New York Life. Like we do have New York Life agents and others that with securities licenses that work with us as well as Medicare. But yeah, I mean, I think that's a common concern, or they think it's a concern for captive agents feeling limited on social. Did you feel that way previously?
Yes, it did feel limited, especially when I was being captive. But, going through the program in the way that the program teaches you how to use, I guess the way that you guys approach it kind of showed me that whether I'm captive or not, these strategies would work because they're kind of doing business with me, regardless if I'm with New York Life or off by myself. I'm making it more about me and what I can offer them. It's like person to person instead of just they're doing business with the company that I'm with.
Yeah. And guys, I just want to reemphasize for you guys here, yes, you can use social media. You can use it compliantly. It is one of the most valuable tools out there, as well as building through relationships. It's just, in the past, we used to have to go find where the groups of people gathered every day and go make connections to there. So today we go directly where they gather every day, all day for hours, probably too much time a day on there, but we can go directly to them with social, as well as have referral partners send over. So I want to dive more into specifics around what we put in place, because obviously I think that's what a lot of you guys are joining for and having questions on. So let's go ahead and hop in that. I think we've talked about a little bit about the beginning. Hey, wasn't where I needed to be, knew I needed to make a change, was tired of spending a lot on these leads and trying to get in touch with them, and had just moved down to Florida and really had a vision for. And I guess before we hop into that, Dylan, what was the vision for this? What did you ultimately want to build for your business? Did you want insurance full time? Did you want this something to let you just more time with the family or travel, or what's your vision?
Yeah, the vision is, again, everything that you stated. I wanted insurance because, it is a flexible career. I do have two children. They're getting older. They're into a lot of activities. They're into, they're being kids. And I feel like by working in the insurance industry, I'm able to, make a living that's comfortable for me and my two kids. But also I get to be a present dad and help enrich their lives at the same time. So I feel like that was my vision, is that I needed to, instead of going into someplace, clocking in, doing my work, and then leaving and doing that 9 to 5, I needed to build something for myself and for my children, right? Something that's going to make it worthwhile for all of us. So that was the vision when I moved down here. New start. This is what we're going to do.
Not only increasing the income and building the business, but that allowing you to hit your family goals and what you end up doing. So guys, write family in the chat if that's a vision of yours for your business. Is I want to build a business so I'm able to spend more time with family, do more things that I want to do with my family. Or hey, maybe if it's just me, hey, location independent, I want to travel more, right? So let us know in the chat, what's your vision? Why are you building a business? Why are you spending Monday evening hopping on here with us, learning about this stuff? Why? What's your why? Why are you doing what you're doing? Why the insurance industry even? Let us know in the chat, right? That's important, because I'm going to be honest, it's not easy. It's not a walk in the cake. It's not a snap your fingers, build your business. So if you don't really got a reason for doing what you're doing besides I just want to make some money, there's a lot of ways to do that, guys. Then it might be tough or a challenge for a year. But if you got that strong vision, no better industry I think out there to allow you to achieve that if you do it the right way than this industry, right? So with that, let's go ahead and hop into some of these specifics here. And so what was the turning point for you after joining? What strategies or tools made that biggest impact early on for you?
So the turning point for me was when I was on a call with Trista, who does the,
Mhm.
the referral partners. She has a plan from this as far as like finding out the different segments of where I feel like I would have the best, relationships with. And then from there, she taught me how to do something a little bit more creative as far as, because back when people teach you how to go and network, it's give them a business card. You're the guy that does insurance and, that's it. Right. Well, no, what we're doing is like, yes, I do insurance. However, I gave them a little extra. I would love to help your clients out with some, I gave them something for free, which is that financial education portion of it, right? And the realtors love that. The mortgage loan originators love that because, nobody wants to have to sit there and watch a family lose their home. So that free portion is great, right? To kind of go over everything. And then from there, it gets into a conversation about mortgage protection. And then, ultimately, the client's happy because they've got a free education and something that's of value to them. And then, my referral partners are happy because they've got happy clients. Right. And the thing is, it doesn't cost anybody anything, right? Until they do obviously get, an insurance product. But what really, it was just kind of taking a different approach of just going out there and just handing my business card to everybody that I knew, just saying, hey, just send your clients over here for me for insurance. I'll help them out. Right. It was something that this is what I'm here to do. And this is what I want to offer your clients. I'd love a chance to talk to them, and the clients love it and the referral partners love it. And now everybody is, scheduling time on my calendar to go and do this kind of stuff.
Yeah, a couple things I want to highlight off there. The first was knowing your target market, so you can actually identify who these referral partners are even going to be or who's going to be most helpful, right? And I think a lot of agents we run into, that's maybe even a first challenge. Who do I even help? Like, oh, what's your target market? Oh, I do final expense and worship. Hey, that's not really the market though. Like there's a wide variety even within that. So it's narrowing down the target market makes me more effective with my messaging and also more effective with who's going to be my best referral partners and helps you bring even more value to them by knowing the target market and stuff there as well. So if you don't know who it is you can help the most, enjoy working with, and is really that target market of yours, then that's something to spend the first initial bit of time on, is figuring that out, because it makes everything else easier when I know that. Doesn't mean I'm limiting who I can help, doesn't mean I'm limiting my business, and I'm still helping all these others or getting referred to them or strategies around that. But it does help to be known for that target market, my messaging, referral partners, a lot of things. So if you already know your target market, write them in the chat and let us know what's your target market. Who do you focus on as a part of that? And so Dylan mentioned, the first thing was putting that together and then determining who is going to be my best referral partners for that target audience. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. And then Dylan doing something different, leading with that value, bringing that value to that referral partner and making it about them. That's something we run into all the time, of agents making it about them. Like, hey, I see you got clients. I would love to help them. I can do this for them. Send them over to me. And there's no value. There's no, it's a direct ask. It's a direct, hey, marry me, even though we've never met, right? It makes no sense, and that's honestly just an approach a lot of agents take. Or it's the opposite side with the networking events. Like, hey, let me go. Here's a business card. Send me people, and we all eat some free food, and we go home, and nothing happens from that, guys. So that's not what we're talking about here. When you lead with value, it leads to these great conversations. I'm gonna have Dylan dive a little bit more into what it was he was helping with, how and why they saw value in that. I know you talked about that briefly there, and we'll talk a little bit more specifically on that. And then, what that look up? Do we set up coffee? Do we set up a Zoom? What are some of these initial kind of discussions even look like with them as well? So rethink what you know about referral relationships, guys, and really pay attention to this approach, as it works very, very effectively. And Dylan doesn't need 500 referral partners. A handful of these can make a huge difference to his business because he's just doing it the right way. And I got to let you guys know, anybody that does over 200,000 a year, Elle can correct me if I got my numbers wrong here, but over 200,000 a year in income from the insurance industry, their number one source of business is referrals. It's not leads, it's referrals. So if I really look at what do I scale, what do I grow, what can I exponentially grow and increase profitably, it is this side. It is referrals. So let's pay attention. And if you get a lot of your business from referrals, write referrals in the comments and let us know. So with that, let's talk about the center of influence strategy and breaking this down a little bit in that referral-based approach. So what steps did you take to build these relationships with these centers of influence? So let's talk about first, how do you even identify who the good COIs for you would be? I mean, there's a million options. How'd you identify who it was going to be?
So for me, like I said, with me wanting to focus primarily on the mortgage protection insurance, it naturally took me to the centers of influence being around people that are helping folks, get mortgages for houses and things like that.
Mhm.
So obviously, I did have some acquaintances of mine that were already realtors, already mortgage, loan originators, some attorneys in there as well. So I ideally, they knew I was in insurance, but they didn't know whether, what exactly I had to offer them, which is why we came up with the idea to give them something of value, because they're not just going to let anybody talk to their clients. So what am I going to go and talk to them about? And that's where the idea came up of, your finances change when you buy, a property and you have that large mortgage, payment down. So it was just, for me, it seemed like it would make more sense to have a conversation with them about, okay, you have a mortgage now, there's a lot of things that you have to take into consideration. It could be something as simple as, like, you give them a little bit of a survey of, what do you think, now that you have a mortgage payment, do you think are your biggest worries moving forward for the next 30 years of your life? And based on those answers, I can sit there and talk to them a lot of things. Some of it's just regular budgeting. How do I budget for this? Or, I'm kind of worried, what happens if, I get hurt on the job and I can't make my mortgage payment? Or, what happens if something happens to one of us and I'm left alone having to make the mortgage payment? So through a little form that we have people take before they work with me, I can kind of, you know, customize the approach as far as, well, here, this is how we can budget for it. These are, national averages of some things that you should set aside for, repairs and things like that. And oh, by the way, you mentioned you were concerned about what happens to your mortgage payment if one of you gets hurt, or, something worse happens. Have you guys ever looked into getting mortgage protection insurance? And then it kind of just, again, it naturally and cohesively goes right into, that kind of conversation. And when you're having that conversation with your realtor or your other center of influence right there with you in the meeting, you're kind of taking a, we're all on the same team, let's, protect you together, and the realtors that I have in my group love that.
I love it. And you mentioned you already had a few relationships, as far as, like, you knew some realtors and
Mhm.
loan officers, maybe even from the past. Where did you initially develop some of those relationships from?
So prior to that, when I was down here, because I had lived in Florida a little bit
Hmm.
before, I had developed these relationships because I was in real estate myself for a little bit.
And so develop some out there, and then, and so being in real estate yourself previously, like, say some people are, hey, I want to connect with real estate agents and loan officers. What are some best ways they can go about finding and connecting with them? And as far as who's going to make an ideal referral partner on there, what are some things they should look at, or ask questions about?
It As far as trying to, like, if someone were to come to me to look for a referral, or someone
Yeah,
going out
someone's
and
like,
looking
"Hey,
for
I'd like
referral
to
partners.
find real estate agents, loan officers that may be good referral partners." You mentioned you had some connections from the
Oh.
past when you were in real estate. So if someone was coming to you back even when you were in real estate,
Mhm.
of, "Hey, I'd love to connect with you, love to bring value to real estate business and connect there," what are some of the ways they could have done
Mhm.
that?
So some ways that you can do that, and what you want to look for is, you really want to look for a real estate agent that is obviously helping. We're more on the buyer side of things. You can
Mhm.
help sellers if sellers are going to be going and purchasing another home, but really what I focus on is I focus on buyers. So a lot of real estate agents that I have known have a good mix of helping sellers and buyers. Everybody's a little bit different. So you kind of want to, like, ask them some questions. Say, are you actively assisting buyers, right? Because I noticed that when with my offering, I feel like I'm more valuable to buyers. And then you also may want to ask them, do you help first time home buyers a lot? And if so, how many would you say you help on a monthly basis? Because first time home buyers are kind of, I don't want to say a disadvantage, but they're kind of undereducated about what they're really getting into. And I feel like that's where I kind of shine, because it says, okay, you just bought your first house. First of all, congratulations. Second of all, we've got some things to get in order here, because this is going to be the next 30 years of your life. And they just feel, I just see it when I'm talking to clients, that they get this sigh of relief, because, you know, it seems like you're kind of helping them with a lot of different questions. So first of all, are you helping buyers? How many of those would you say are first time home buyers? Because there's some realtors out there that specialize in just, if they're going to help buyers, it's usually those first time home buyers. And that's the case with about 2 of them in my group. That's really all that they help. Otherwise, they're listing.
Love it. Love it. Hey guys. So yeah, so connecting, want to reach out, want to see who I'm looking for. And you've talked about reaching out that value based and what you were doing with them on the financial education component and everything there. So can you talk a little bit more on when you approach them and everything? Was this something you kind of set up a Zoom to chat about this more in depth? Do you like kind of plan things out with your referral partners? And, how did they leverage this, what you were bringing them as far as for that value? Was it something that they're going through with clients or putting in place? How are they leveraging that as far as the value you brought them?
So it's really started off with one real estate agent that I was doing this for, and I was helping her clients off with that. And she liked it so much that she was kind of that person that took me around to everybody else and said, you really need to add what this guy does to what you're doing. And that's really how that kind of snowballed. Now it's again turned into a group of us, and we, I guess, have what you might call networking events, where we'll go out once every other week and kind of sit down and talk shop and kind of go on, like, how do we want to make this better for, all of our clients, like our shared clients here, like what could we do? And that's where we got into the idea of, let's, ask them what are their biggest worries and concerns now that they just bought their house. And that's where the form came in, and based off those questions they would give that to me to kind of address. And then you're really kind of just sitting there with everybody, and everybody's got these great ideas, and you pick a few of them and you kind of you build on those. And then that's really what makes the centers of influence so great, is because it's just all of these different professionals coming up with better ways to serve their clientele. And being a part of that's really what makes it a little bit more than just say, here's my card, send your clients to me for insurance, right? Because we're coming up with a process to further help these folks.
Yeah, I love it. That's credible. And for those watching, what is the one piece of advice, and maybe from what you've done in the past before what you're doing new now as part of the program, that you'd give to someone who's just starting out with centers of influence?
If you're starting off centers of influence, kind of take stock in who you know, and then base off of who you know, find out how you can leverage that connection to help your niche that you're trying to help, right? So for me, I wanted to help first-time home buyers. I knew some realtors. Now, how do I make it so I can help them? And that's where I came up with, I give them this is what I want to do for your clients. And that's the rest is history, right? It's just, you got to give something of value, and it's not always about, well, I got to sell mortgage protection insurance. It's really, I want to give these new families a proper education. And if that conversation runs into mortgage protection insurance, well, great. If I help them, in turn, that's going to wind up helping me, as well as my centers of influence as well.
Love it. And so yeah, guys, write value in the comments if you're getting value out of this. So, and as you guys are writing value in the comments, letting you know, hey, what am I picking up, what I'm learning? Like, I think, this is something that, once again, everybody, like, hey, I understand the concept of a referral, but building out and ongoingly, keeping the relationship with these referral partners is what people really struggle with, of who do I approach? How do I approach them? How do I provide the value? How do I set this up? And as I do set this up, how do I really leverage this ongoing? So Dylan, are you doing any sort of regular meeting or communication with your referral partners? Do they know the outcomes of these meetings that you have with the people they've referred over, how you've been able to help? Do you talk up these referral partners of, oh, you're so lucky to work with Bob, he's one of the best real estate agents out there? Do you, so talk a little bit about what does an ongoing relationship with these referral partners look like?
Yep. So an ongoing relationship for us is that, like I said, we meet every other week. We all sit down. We go over, okay, so you sent the Joneses over to me. This is what we talked about. This is what we wound up doing. And that's the result of that. I go over with them every single, tidbit that we go through, because sooner or later the Joneses might need to resell their house, and they might need to go and talk to, my centers of influence again about that. And it might be something where we're having to sell that house and get them another house, and that might be another conversation that we might have to have, depending on, again, we're always constantly communicating about what we're doing, because at the end of the day we all agree that the most important part of this is making sure these clients have got what they need now that they've got, especially these first time home buyers have got what they need to protect themselves and their families moving forward. And if that relationship turns into, well, now they're going to be buying another house, great. Then we're keeping them in the mix, so to speak. So we constantly are communicating about who we've helped and how we've helped them. And, so far it's been really good. And then as far as like anybody comes to me with any referrals, if they're looking for a house or something like that, then I've got 5 realtors based on what they're looking to do that can help them out. So
I love it. I love you highlighting the ongoing relationship and what you're doing and regular meeting and planning, and the feedback as part of this as well. Guys, if you have people send you referrals, make sure you're communicating back to them. One, thanking them, of course, but communicating back to them. And really a highlight of this with a strategic referral partner is the ongoing relationship. This is different from, yes, the people that once a year send you a referral versus the people that are consistently sending, and you got this ongoing relationship that's value-based as a part of that. So let's talk about the results, because I mean, that's obviously what, at the end of the day, if I'm going to do work, I'm going to leverage things. I want that to really produce the results out of it, which is why we're talking about this anyways. That's why people hopping on listening, like, hey, I'm looking to put things in place to grow the results of my own business. So 544 referrals, which is once again crazy. 544 referrals in your first month is impressive. So what's your process now for turning those referrals into booked appointments? All right, you get this referral. How does that initially look?
So I'll get a referral, and the way that we were doing this is it was just they were sending me a lot of their clients that they were working with presently. Well, then it got to where we were starting to call back people that have bought a house with them within the first year. That was kind of getting into where we were getting a lot of people that were interested in what we were offering. So we had to come up with the form to say, okay, now that what are some of the kind of draw out what are they worried about, whether it's budgeting for the mortgage, what happens to them, all of that went onto the form. So we started sending that form out into some email marketing. Folks would fill out the form and come back. Well, before we knew it, that was what was happening, is that we were getting everybody coming in with that form. Then we would call them and try from there to say, okay, so based on what you put in the form, you're concerned about this, this, and this. This is something that we can absolutely talk about and address with you. Would you be interested in a free, financial education, meeting with me? And we can go over all of these and see if we can't come up with some solutions to your concerns. And then, once we have the meeting, we go through exactly what cover all of their concerns. And then a lot of them, all roads, lead to mortgage protection insurance, because most of these folks don't know A, what it is, B, that it was even an option. Right. And then once you explain it to them, it just makes sense. And that's kind of how we were able to take it from just anybody and everybody coming in to where we were actually able, well, are these folks really going to benefit from what we're offering? And then we go from there.
Love it. And can you talk a little bit about how, like, with the Closers Click, kind of how systems, automations, and different things that you've learned from the program have helped you save time and keep you more organized as a part of this process?
Yes. So with the closers click, there was some talk about the time blocking that I absolutely like. I've time blocked before in the past, but not to this point, because we always think like when it takes to run a business, there's all these things that need to be done, right? Well, first things first, you got to be able to help your clients, right? But then the other thing too is that if you're going to be helping clients, you got to be helping the right clients. So through the closers click, I was able to find out, okay, I was able to formulate truly who is it that I'm here to help. And then that kind of cut down on just anybody that, put in a form. We kind of, were able to qualify who really truly needed what we had to offer and who didn't. And through that, we were able to kind of just set up my calendar to, okay, I know that I can help X amount of people before lunch and then X amount of people after lunch. And then that was it. And then before you knew it, all of those slots were getting filled.
Not a bad problem to have, right? So
not a bad problem to have.
So love it. So systems, automation, what you learn, putting that in place, more effective with your time. Because at the end of the day, like if I'm booked all out through the day, now I'm going to find ways to then maximize from there, right? So that consistency you've built, the 8-10 appointments a day, how's that transformed your business? How's that like already had you thinking about next steps and what you're putting in place there? And has that had a big impact on you?
Yes, it has. So prior to it, again, I was working a day job and, doing this in the evening, along with other things that I was doing, being a father as well. Well, now I don't have a day. This is my day job. This is my job, my career right now. And
So if I hear
not
right,
only am I,
doing
handling
that
what I
day
can
job,
handle.
right? So that's impressive.
That's right. So this is it, right? So now that, though, again, 544, leads. Going back to where I was prior, I didn't have that problem. Now I have that problem, and now I have to start looking into hiring some more help to help me with said problem. So we went from not having a business to now I have a business and I need to hire some help.
Yeah. How many of you guys in the comments like to be in that position? I got too much business. I now got to make plans for how do I even grow and handle all this stuff coming in. Right. Right. Yes. In the comments, if you would like to be in that position, if you're not currently in that position right now, right? Yes, I would love to have more business and have to really figure out hiring systems and process for even being able to handle all the referrals and business coming to me. Right. So Dylan, let's talk about that. What's next? How are you planning on building on this success and this business that is coming in? Do you have, what are your plans kind of look like for scaling and team members and processes?
So as it stands right now, I've got I've set aside blocks for my own appointments that I personally can help. I have a virtual assistant that I've worked something out with to help me kind of keep my calendar, feasible. In the meantime, we're also looking on onboarding, and it, whether it be a seasoned insurance agent or a brand new one, I can go with either one, but we're looking to add at least two to the team here fairly quickly. And once that's happened, we're going to kind of reevaluate as far as, how many more of these are coming in and where's the bandwidth of everybody. Eventually, by the end of the year, I'd like to have a team of, anywhere from 2 to 5 to kind of help out with this, because there's other, other types of insurance outside of mortgage protection that I'd like to dabble in. And, if we can replicate what we've done just with that mortgage protection into other forms, the response I'm hoping is going to be, just as good, if not better.
Love it. Love it. So some awesome plans. I look forward to helping with those, diving into that. Even on the insurance side, I know we got some cool stuff on the agency side as well. So look forward to seeing that continued growth and expansion. And that's what I love. I love seeing agents do that, grow, scale, and then showing others and how to do that same thing and growing out the agency there. So write yes in the comments if you've got at least one thing from this training that you've learned that can implement, that's got you rethinking centers of influence, strategic referral partners, or like, hey, or maybe it's the drive to finally go take action on that, right? Write yes in the comments if you've got at least one thing from this that you're either going to put in place or start looking at in your own business when it comes to this as well. Because once again, if you're going to come join us here, you got to take action on it. You got to put stuff in place. Otherwise, what's the point of coming and hanging out with us on these unless you're going to put the action in place to make that difference, right? So I want to challenge everybody. Anytime you're coming to these trainings, anytime any training that you're going to, make sure it's for the purpose of let me apply. Because at the end of the day, knowledge with application implementation really doesn't cause anything to change, right? So with that, we're about to do the Q&A. So you guys got like 2 minutes to get your last questions in before we go through a few questions on the Q&A. So go ahead and ask Dylan what questions you got for him, what questions you got for me. If you've got something that we've talked about, go ahead and drop those questions so we can answer those in just a second. So if you're sitting there thinking to yourself, wow, I want help building my business through referral-based marketing strategies so I can generate my own warm inbound leads, write referrals in the chat. Just write the word referrals. If you want referrals, write referrals. And every week we work with agents, helping them implement organic, meaning free marketing strategies inside of our exclusive community, the Closers Click. So if you want to grow through relationships, not transactional, you want to grow more profitably, and you want to put these types of things in place like referral-based marketing strategies and organic social media, then write referrals in the chat below. We'll have someone from our team reach out and get you more information on that, as well as just trainings and resources from the group in general as well. So if this is your first time hopping on, write referrals and we'll get you some trainings and say hi and how to get the most out of this Facebook group and community as well. So thanks for joining us on this. Definitely write referrals, and let's hop in to the Q&A. And as we're hopping in the Q&A and giving you guys just one more second to write any questions, Dylan, tell us a little bit about where can people find you, where can they connect with you, and who are some people that you're looking for referrals either within the industry or outside in case people have connections here.
They can absolutely they can connect with me on Facebook. I've had a lot of folks reach out to me and connect on there, and I've had a couple of agents contact me to kind of have me talk through what I've done. I've got to share if they want some specific, just a matter of connecting on Facebook, having a phone call, whatever works for them.
Perfect. So just reach out on Facebook, shoot him a message if you'd like to talk to him or talk to more about what he's put in place even from the program, and learn more about that. Definitely just reach out to Dylan. And Dylan, once again, I think it might have cut out a little bit, but tell me like who are some of the best, even more potential referral partners, either within like actual agents within the industry that, hey, you don't do what I do, I think it would be good for us to connect, or hey, I am looking to connect with maybe more realtors or real estate agents and stuff. If you know them, in my area, I would love to connect with them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always looking to connect with anybody that has anything to do within, whether it be realtors or anybody that is in the realm of real estate. I'm licensed in, Florida, Ohio, Michigan, and New York State. So anybody in those states that is looking for someone that, specializes just in mortgage protection, that would be interested in connecting, I am more than happy to, help out and see if what I offer is going to be a good fit for them.
Perfect. Guys, we're going to do a few questions before we wrap up. So as we go through these, if you still had any final one or two, go ahead and drop them. Okay, let's see. So we got that answered already. We have Dylan. What advice do you have for agents who don't know what to say to the referral partners? They don't know what to, hey, I don't really know what to tell them or what to say to them. That's why I haven't approached them or reached out.
Right. That was exactly my problem, is that, I had a little bit of help because I knew these folks, but still you want to make sure you're saying the right thing. And the advice that I had a lot of guidance with Trista helping me with that, kind of helping me customize what I was going to say. So really what it did was for me is I went to them. I knew I had to have something more than I was just the insurance agent, which is why I came up with like the the free course. And I would, go through and, even though I knew this person, I knew I had to make it make sense to her. Otherwise, she was going to tell me to get out of her office. But I went in there and I said, look, I would love to help any of your first time home buyers that you have with this, this free course that I'm offering. She's like, free course for what? And she thought that that wasn't going to be a good thing. And then I explained to her, it's like, you got to think about it. Interest rates are up, mortgage payments are really expensive nowadays. A lot of people are probably freaking out about what they're going to be doing for the next 30 years of their mortgage paying, lives now. So what I've done is I put together a course, and this is stuff that, is it doesn't need to be overly complicated. It could be very simple. And then, you take what we can do with our licenses, and you kind of break down a couple of different strategies that would help folks that are, getting their first mortgage, and make it make sense to them. And she says, well, why don't you try it with these clients that I have coming up here? You're just going to go with me. Oh, okay. So that's how that door opens. So I guess my advice would be is find out what it is that you offer that nobody that's going to be different than what everybody else is offering, and then just go in there and talk to people and say, hey, I would like to help, by doing this. And you'll be surprised the response, because if you don't ask, you're never going to get anywhere. But you got to have something more than just send me your clients. So that's the advice that I've got for that.
Something I want to highlight with that too, like if you're in doubt of how you can bring value, like you already knew how you could bring value through that and why that's beneficial, especially coming from real estate, even yourself there. But if someone's like, I don't know how I can help them, or how I can bring value, maybe I'm a newer agent, so I don't have an existing client list to send them back, or I don't run into as many people looking to buy homes to send them as much back there. And we're not teaching transactional, so this is not, I'm paying you for these. Don't really like those relationships in the first place. So I'm not sure how I can bring value there. I'm like, there's a ton. And one of the easiest things to do is ask them, right? Like, listen, if you're starting a conversation with like, hey, I'd love to learn more about your real estate business, how you help, who you focus on, and how can I help? What is that? Like, oh, I'm actually doing an open house. Like, I'd love for some help just coming and setting up chairs and stuff. And I'm happy to introduce you to some people around there, while we're doing that, and get to talk a little bit more while we're waiting on people come and buy and get to chat or whatever. Yeah, I can come also have some chairs and hang out with the open house. And that's a great place for us to chat in between people coming in and out and stuff there, right? And they'll tell you. And so honestly, that's one of the easiest things, just to ask. Sometimes like, oh, it'd be help a bunch if you could like leave a review with us on Google or whatever, and a few things. Yeah, I'm happy to leave you a review and stuff there, right? So ask. That's one of the easiest ways to find out how you can bring value, is let them tell you and then help them out. Right. So love it. And thank you for sharing that, Dylan, as a part of that. That was a great answer there. Can you, one more time, Dylan, in case anybody missed it, can you go over what was this financial education offer information? What was it that you were doing with this course that was something they could leverage or help them?
So the way that it kind of was in my mind is kind of showing people like at different periods, time frames in their life, whether, there's certain things that you should have in place, whether that be retirement, whether that getting, budgeting taken care of. It could be how to take care of your debts, credit card debts and things like that. It could be, are you leaving a legacy for your kids? It could be just little tidbits and little fast facts about any of those things. And I had one that was kind of a cookie cutter. But what I found is that everybody's at a different part. Some people have a 401k, some people don't. So I had to make that a little bit, I had to change it a little bit and find out what's important to them, right? Because some people might have a 401k, so don't really need to talk about that right yet. They're really worried about getting rid of their credit card debt. Okay, well, we can talk about that. Or they're really worried about what's going to happen if they get injured on the job and they're disabled. Okay, we can talk about that. And with living benefits, the opportunities there to solve some of these problems are, they're out there, right? So I went from having that, that cookie cutter presentation to it started with a form, and then based on all of the little fast facts that I had, like I would just build a custom presentation to them that would normally just lead them down the path to this is how we're going to protect your home now in case something like this happens. So, and it also gives you a little bit, it's almost kind of like a qualifier too, because if they're also worried about credit card debt, okay, that's another important topic that we need to talk about. If something were to happen, how are you going to take care of this other debt? Not in just including your house, but what about your cars, your credit cards, any other loans, student loans, things like that. It just kind of builds the case of like why this is a good idea to have this conversation. So when I say financial education, it's really just taking these kind of things about what is bothering that client at the present time now that they have this big mortgage payment now, and then just customizing the presentation around that.
Love it. And I mean, and this is high levels of value to them, because knowing his referral partner, knowing how this brings value to him, knowing how this is beneficial to the end user, the client, and as part of these discussions and stuff too, allowed Dylan to put this together and bring a lot of value there. And right. And so once again, doesn't mean that's your exact way of how you have to bring value for your target audiences. It may be, helping them with events, coming and doing social content, interview with them, a joint Facebook Live, other stuff like that. There's a lot of ways to bring value, but I love how Dylan built a very, very specific way of bringing a lot of value. And that's where they're like, I'd love for you to help all these people, right? And ends up with a ton of opportunity from it. So let's see. I think that kind of answers Julie's question on, do you like have a workbook for them and stuff for them? I think, Julie, he kind of went through exactly what he was doing there. I think the answers Amani's as well as like when you say a course, was it like a video, a templates, presentation? You went through that was the presentation and walkthrough of that as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, did you have something you were saying?
Yeah. Sometimes what this will be is it could. Oh yeah, I was just saying. Sometimes it could be me sitting with them at the office with the realtor. This could be over Zoom. This could be over a phone call. It depends on what is comfortable for the client, because some folks are just looking for information. They might prefer a phone call. Some people want a solution right now, and we'll be at either the realtor's office, their house, or somewhere in between, to kind of go over everything. It just depends on what's comfortable for the client.
Perfect. And last question. I mean, we'll hop into. So what Les was kind of knowing, hey, what kind of led to the shift from New York Life to the independent side?
What kind of led to that? I wanted to be able to help anybody that came to me looking for help. And by that, I mean, I didn't want to be stuck. And I don't want to say stuck, because New York Life obviously is a great company to work for. They taught me a lot getting started out. But what was frustrating is that if they didn't qualify for what I was offering, I could not help them. And that was never a position that I wanted to be in. So I wanted to go independent and have a number of different companies that I could look for a solution that would be right for the client.
Having a breadth of options, especially as you maybe were even figuring out exactly what that target market looked like for you specifically versus maybe what New York Life's target market is, which it does have a very, very defined target market for them as well. So once again, finding what's a fit for you and your path and your vision and your growth can be different for each agent. But at the end of the day, if I'm not acquiring clients and growing and scaling, then I don't really have a business, right? So it's putting the things in place that allow you to get there as a part of that. And so once again, congrats, Dylan, on taking action, putting things in place, just the beginning to this growth and this vision. So I'm very excited. To be working with you, both in the program, on the agency side, and these things you're putting in place. And I'm really excited for 2025 and what this year is going to be. 2025, time to thrive, guys. So if you're also ready to thrive, and you've been listening, and you're saying, hey, I love how to put those types of referral based strategies in place, grow and scale without leads, without how to pay for them, without running ads, and to really grow through relationships, then write referrals in the chat once again, and we'll have someone from the team reach out, get you more info in and around that. And if you're looking to connect with Dylan, whether, hey, I know someone who might be a good referral partner for you. Hey, I'd love to learn more about what you're doing, what you put in place. I'd love to learn kind of your experience in Closers Click. Just shoot Dylan a message on Facebook. He's tagged in this post. He's in the Facebook group. Just reach out and hit him up there as well. So once again, Dylan, thank you so much for joining us and being on here today. Really appreciate you. Look forward to that 2025. And everybody who joined us on this Facebook Live, thank you guys for taking the time, hopping in, and now go put things in place so you can actually get results off of what you're learning. So thanks, everybody. Really appreciate it. We'll see you guys next Monday, 4 p.m. Eastern. And in the meantime, use this group throughout the week for questions, support, saying hi, and love to meet you guys. Thanks, everybody.